Knock y'all the F out. You know, I've been living here in Bluefields since about February of this year. It's the first time in my life, even though I've lived in Nicaragua for about, what, almost 20 years now, coming and going, but really permanently for about the last 10 years. You know, I lived on the island. My home is Little Corn Island. If you follow the channel, you know that. I started a radio station there in Little Corn Island, and I've been working with a company, a Nicaraguan company, internet company, obviously media company, and we last year you saw some of the videos. We were in Pearl Lagoon living, me and my family, and it was great. Something very similar to the life in Little Corn Island. A lot of cars, not a city with thousands and thousands of people or whatever. This year living here in Bluefields, I mean, it's really opened my eyes and made me realize the way that a majority of Nicaraguans actually live. I mean, in a real type of sufferation and degradation. I mean, even imagine in Little Corn Island. I've seen little barrios, like we've heard of Pueblo Nuevo in Little Corn Island, where they started out as a little plastic barrio living on other people's land, and eventually like squatter barrios, you know. I've seen that happen in Little Corn Island for poor people, but to actually live it here in Bluefields these last months since February, especially after the political crisis here in the country, you know, we had to go through couple months of being blocked off from the rest of the country, where there was roadblocks cutting off all transportation, because cities like Bluefields are actually supplied and fed by the products that are provided from the Pacific side of the country and are shipped here by truck, you know, and sometimes by boat as well, coming down a river, but with truck also, and all of that was shut off during the political crisis. And you know, it's opened up my eyes to realize the extreme poverty that exists in many parts of the world, that many people have to live and suffer through, and the psychological effects that it has on your family, on your children, you know, because we've been living it here this whole month, you know. Company I work for, like I said, they're a Nicaraguan company, so they don't pay nothing but Nicaraguan salaries. So, you know, our hope was that we would have had our home in Little Corn Island rented out on Airbnb, the Big Culture House. You know, that's the name of the house on Airbnb. But with this political crisis, all of our reservations were canceled. We were hoping that would have made our lives a little bit easier, having money, you know. And that is kind of what I'm thinking about in this video, is like what it takes for people to come out of the extreme poverty in the different parts of the world, including here in Bluefields. What does it take? Because you look around a lot of times and you see people living a life, and it becomes a life that many in the world look on as a life of poor people, and they say, oh, poor people do this and they don't live like this, and they have a lot of criticism. And it's a natural reflex too of someone being grown up in a society of middle class, where I maybe grew up in the United States when I lived in the United States too. You know, you're like looked down on things, but what is that? Not everyone lives like that either here. Even if people are poor, some people, you go in their house and their house are very clean. They try their best. They always have a day mirror where they dress up, and even with the little that they got, they do much with. And those that will just simply give up and can't handle the psychological pressure, maybe succumb to addictions and other problems, you know, in society that exist everywhere. So this is something universal. But when you look in an economical way, the economics of the Caribbean coast has always been traditionally based off of fishing and farming. Major fishing industries have passed through here, the coast, you know, before piracy, farming, the big, you know, banana boats and fruit companies that used to rule were here and present, with United States Marines. Imagine all of that took place. A lot of these, you know, histories of the coast are manipulated by these great powers, by the Morone Doctrine and other things that have kept the coast to this position today, where it still is under a type of neo-colonialism that still exists through, you know, the integration of this society into, the, like I say, in the connection to Managua, to our country as being Nicaragua. But that's another topic for another video. But the real idea is like poverty itself. What could bring positive changes? You know, you have plenty of NGOs that say they do things, and the years and years of me living here and seeing projects of NGOs, they just come and they go and they benefit for a while. Maybe they benefit different institutions, people that they work for, but they're not so sustainable in many directions. You know, they're not something that could ever be the thing that takes people out of poverty. Because really the thing that takes people out of poverty is people themselves getting up and working. Because even if you're someone impoverished and you learn how to take even $100 and turn it around into something, put it, invest into something, make a business out of it, you could go and take your own self out of poverty. Because plenty of people here in Nicaragua do that. They create their own micro empresas, we call it in Spanish, which is like micro businesses, small business owners, own business owner. I bake bread in my home. I do chamber. I collect chapara. Like chamber is like just a little work that people do on the side. They make, chop your yard. We would call it like chores work, you know, clean your home, do little things like that at the same time. People fish, sell their meat. They hustle here in Bluefields. They're taxi drivers. Some of them have jobs that are in institutions, teachers, doctor, lawyer, those type of such as well, you know. So it's a city, it's a vibrant city, living here on the coast in Bluefields and experiencing it. But it's also a reality that has opened my eyes to the real degradation of the poverty in the city and some of the non-access to water and all of these things. And it makes you think, what could solve these problems? And one of the things that comes to my mind plenty of time is maybe something like this: innovation through companies, private companies, as well as institutions like universities, training work centers like Inatech here in Nicaragua as well. If there could be a balance between these two, that the programs that are being promoted in education here in the universities could allow the students to come out directly into a type of major position. But unfortunately here it lacks a lot of development. There's no major thing here, you'd have to say, in Bluefields, like an international airport, an international embassy, or a something of that nature that's so major. You know, they want to build a deep water port. We don't know how that will go. I hope it goes. That could be an example of something that many people would look at like, okay, well, they're going to have to do all this stuff in the environment and that. But without some type of major company, private company that also is even better if it's a Nicaraguan company, could come in and help and find that balance, and especially in an innovative way that finds the balance with nature as well, where a deep water port doesn't mean half the destruction of the entire environment. So there's certain companies too of innovative technology that don't require much pressure on the environment as well. So these type of things are to consider, you know, when you're trapped in poverty and craziness and millions of things going on around you. So till next time, they're calling me. Boop boop.